Heyo, and what is up, gang? Thank you for checking out Sledgehammer TV tonight. Last night, NXT took to the stage. Triple H rallied the troops, and he fired the first shot in the Wednesday Night Wars. And I feel like maybe NXT didn't really load up the most powerful bullets in the gun. We had a very, very good show, but particularly pertaining to the first hour, I do not feel like that was the absolute best representation of what NXT is truly all about. And we are here to talk about it right here and right now. My name is Nick Nightmare, and you are watching the Sledgehammer Wrestling Show, NXT on USA Live. Review and reaction show. Let's do it.
Sledgehammer Wrestling Show.
There was some absolutely great wrestling on this night, which is nothing to be surprised about when talking about NXT. The gold brand of the WWE had no competition on this night. They were not set to defend Wednesday night's pride against AEW Dynamite. And it was by far the best wrestling show that we got all week. That includes the Clash of Champions, that includes Raw and SmackDown as well. Great action, interesting stories going forward. But we are here to bring the hammer down on everything that was wrong with NXT. And yes, ladies and gentlemen, there were some things wrong, at least in this reviewer's opinion. I'm not going to be sitting here touting the horn, jerking off all over NXT. Oh, it was the greatest show ever. This was the best thing that I've ever seen. Because when you think about NXT, and you think about what we didn't see on USA, and that's the important part that you need to remember. 60 minutes. Your first ever representation of NXT. And you started it off with a bang. There was no better way to kick this show off than with the Fatal 4-Way for the number one contender spot for Shayna Baszler's NXT Women's Championship. And the match was fantastic. These girls went out there and showed the world why NXT has the top women's division anywhere in the world. That's including each and every single brand. And then from there, we kind of took some side steps, a few steps backwards in my opinion, and let's talk about the elephant in the room before we go any further. And the fact is, after watching NXT for all these years without having the commercial interruption, one of the major things wrong with last night's episode of NXT is the fact that it made me ask myself this question. And the question is, and I will put to you guys the same question, and feel free to answer it in the comment section below. Is Vince McMahon really that bad at professional wrestling? Or is it really just the fact that the WWE as a company, when they have these shows on USA, have to bend to the will and the desires of USA Network? They have to go to commercial. When they have to go to commercial, there is the mandate that we have to have everybody go to the outside and knock each other out so that we can go to commercial and assume that there is no action going on in the ring at that time. And it just really takes away from the whole flow of an NXT show. As great as the women's match was, as great as the North American Championship match was, going to commercial 2 times in the midst of those matches really, really takes you out of it, and you don't get the full enjoyment and the full investment that you are used to as an NXT fan. If you're a casual and you're just coming in for the first time, you're accustomed to this because all you're used to is seeing the main roster. So you watched last night's show and were absolutely blown away. But I watched last night's show and I take away a lot of negatives. And one of the things, as always, is the commercials. And that's a necessary evil in television. There's nothing we can do about that. But it does make you question. It hurt the quality of the best wrestling show on the planet right now. So, are Raw and SmackDown that bad because of Vince McMahon and his efforts of trying to please the network? Or is it because he's out of touch? We probably all know it's a little bit of both. It's a little bit of both. But it made me question that, and that's wrong. That's wrong that you made me even think that question. You could let me know what you guys think. Do you think it's really all Vince, or do you think the network, a network that gave us the 24/7, hey, look at me, I'm a clown bullshit, golden covered avocado toast championship belt? It's quite possible. But the show felt completely different. And in the first hour, we had the Women's Championship matchup. And it was highlighted by the North American Championship. And the North American Championship is where I want to direct my attention at the moment. As fantastic as that match was, you are either going to agree or disagree with me depending on where you come down on who you were rooting for in that matchup. If you're a fan of the Undisputed Era and Roderick Strong, you loved this. You thought this was great. You've been waiting for this moment, for the Undisputed Era to be draped in gold. If you're a fan of the Velveteen Dream, you hated this moment completely. You got the Velveteen Dream, the guy who's pretty much the franchise of NXT, if you think about it. There is no bigger draw in NXT. There's no greater attraction than getting in there to see the Velveteen Dream and experience what he has to bring to an NXT. So by him going in there as the champion, his first time ever on USA Network, and dropping the title to a Roderick Strong, definitely rubbed you the wrong way. And then there are people like myself, who don't really have a loyalty to anybody in particular, and I'm invested in the sport of professional wrestling. I'm invested in the stories that we're telling. And what they did, which was a mistake, is they just booked this episode of NXT like a regular episode of NXT. And they didn't really take into account that there are going to be hundreds of thousands of people that tune into this show that have no fucking clue what's going on. So the moment when Roderick Strong wins and gets all the gold for the Undisputed Era finally and completes that story doesn't mean anything to anybody tuning in to the first time. And you hyped the Velveteen Dream as the reason to watch this show. Once you announced NXT was going to be on September 18th, you announced the main event, the North American Championship matchup, and the Velveteen Dream. If you haven't experienced the Dream, it's something to see. It's something to blah, 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 blah. And he went out there and he killed it. And these guys had a great matchup. By having him lose, there are going to be a whole lot of people that are like, oh, well, there's nothing special about that guy. He just got jumped by a bunch of these guys who, if we're being honest, the Undisputed Era, when you look at them, don't look like anything special. They look like a bunch of average guys. They really do. They don't scream charisma. They don't scream superstars, but they are legit in the ring, and they can go in the ring, and that's really all that matters in professional wrestling. I'm not trying to disrespect the Undisputed Era at all. It's just, in comparison, you have a star in the Velveteen Dream. Are they trying to tell the story of the babyface trying to regain the championship from Roderick Strong? What does anybody care about that? Is the Velveteen Dream going to be moved into competition with Adam Cole for the NXT Heavyweight Championship? We won't know because we barely seen the champion on the debut episode of NXT on USA. And some of you guys might be getting confused because I did enjoy the show. Like I said, it was a good show, but it was not as good as I expected. They should have really went balls to the wall. They didn't go all out, no pun intended, and put their best foot forward. Why would you not want to put all your A players on the first episode? Even if you just introduce them via a vignette or a promo package. I cannot believe that Matt Riddle was not featured on the primetime portion of the show during that first hour. There was a much better way to go about that first hour. Did we need to see a Cameron Grimes squash match? First of all, who the hell is Cameron Grimes? Second of all, who the hell cares? This is a segment and this is a matchup that is much better suited for the hour of television that was going to be exclusively to the fans that have been on the network and have been with NXT since day one. Show us the new guy, let us get acquainted with him. Something that you could have also done maybe episode 2, episode 3, because squash matches are not really a thing that you see happen quite often in NXT anyway. And this just reeks to me of the fact that they needed a segment to get done quickly because they needed to go home in time to get to a commercial break. And why they would disrespect Sean Maluda and have him lose in such a shithead fashion to this guy Cameron Grimes, who looks like everybody else to me. Everybody's just starting to look alike. They all got the long hair and the long beard, or the bald head and the goatee. Everybody looks the same here and there. And I know Cameron Grimes was in the whatever unsung heroes tournament, whatever the fuck it was. I don't care. Did he win it? No, then it doesn't matter. And I know you're trying to make a new star and you're showing the world this new, but not during that portion of the show. Not when we haven't seen guys like Adam Cole, not when we haven't seen guys like Matt Riddle, Keith Lee, Dominik Dijakovic, Damian Priest. All of the things that make NXT special should have kind of been crammed into that 1 hour, one way or another. And even if you didn't want to do that, everything that they had scheduled could have been booked in a better way. I would have definitely started with the women's match, that's for sure. I would have put Oney Lorcan and Lio Rush during that first hour, because that match I would have known going in was fantastic, and it ended up being better than I could have ever imagined. And I definitely would have put the street fight between Matt Riddle and Killian Dane. Killian Dane, another person for the casual fan tuning in that they're a little bit more familiar with because they have seen Killian Dane, not much of him, but they have seen him as a member of Sanity on the main roster, so they'll be like, oh, there's that fat guy from that group with the beard and the long hair. I know him. He's fighting Matt Riddle, that UFC guy. Holy crap, they're fighting all over the arena. It's a street fight. They're getting crazy, and then everybody comes out. You have the whole roster going nuts, and that's how NXT's first hour should have went off the air, leading everybody into the network in order to enjoy an uninterrupted North American Championship matchup. If your goal was to get people to go from USA to the WWE Network, that definitely would have done it tenfold. And I don't know if that's exactly the reason why the WWE Network crashed for so many of you. I was of one of the lucky few that did not suffer from the crash. Oddly enough, in the house right above me, my father-in-law did suffer the fate of the lockout by WWE Network. I did not, fortunately, have to go through that. But I don't know, did everybody suddenly want to sign on and crash the whole system? I don't know. There was just I feel like they didn't put all their star power on there. You had the Velveteen Dream lose to Roderick Strong, and you had Pete Dunne in there, which is fine, but you put him against this guy. I don't even remember his name. We'll get to it in the notes. But he was very underwhelming to me. You don't want to have Walter and the Imperium show up while you're on USA Network? You don't want to do these bigger, more important things on the portion of the show that you're trying to get people that are watching to subscribe to your network and to buy into NXT? Oh, well, you know what? You think you're so smart. They're saving everything for October the 2nd when they go head-to-head with AEW. Well, that is a dumbass thing to do. That is a dumbass way to go about your business. Triple H and company should not be giving two shits about what AEW is doing. They should have their blinders on and should be solely focused on NXT and where they're going. They shouldn't be holding back on a debut episode so that they could do something bigger opposite AEW. Do you know why I say that? Because if they built it up properly from today, you don't need to be so big. People will already be interested in your show. Nobody has any reason to tune into AEW unless they're a gigantic mark for the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega and all of those guys who are sitting here salivating at the bit waiting for this show. If you're outside of that group and you're not one of those guys and you are a wrestling fan and you're familiar with NXT now over the next couple of weeks and they knock it out of the park and they really, really show you something special, you're not going to give a shit about AEW just yet until NXT disappoints you. Sure, you might flip back and forth, and you're definitely going to tune into the second hour because you can go back to the network and watch a second hour when it decides to work for you guys. But I don't see anybody really having a true advantage one over the other in the get-go. And if you wanted to build that advantage, this was the way to do it. Have the Velveteen Dream defend his championship. He loses by disqualification due to the involvement of the Undisputed Era. And now you can tell the same story. And you get yourself to October the 2nd, where you have the rematch between Roddy and Velveteen Dream. And then you could do it. Because now everybody is familiar. They see why the Velveteen Dream was a champion. This was very disrespectful to him, in my opinion. The guy's taken the North American Championship. He put it on his back. He's had it all this time. You're going live for the first time on USA. A countless number of people that never seen him before are going to tune in and find out what he's all about. And he loses. And sure, the Undisputed Era got involved and cheated to win. And they're telling a story. But this is a terrible way to feature this man in his first outing, when he is one of the reasons to tune in the first place. You made a whole bunch of people probably think, what the hell is so special about this guy? He's showing up, he put on a good match, but he lost to this little Roderick Strong guy who looks like a hobbit. But that's just some of the things that I didn't agree with. They could have shuffled this around and make it much more interesting. But let's get through the official up and down the card. Mauro Ranallo is a goddamn national treasure. I love this man on commentary. We had Missy Elliott references. The guy's a pop culture phenomenon, and he is absolutely fantastic at his job. Nigel McGuinness, one of my favorite color guys that there is in the WWE right now. If you're bothered by his accent, that's on you. I can understand him very clearly, and he's fantastic. And Beth Phoenix puts Renee Young to shame. Renee Young's been doing this a whole lot longer than Beth Phoenix, and Beth Phoenix is doing it a whole lot better than Renee Young. We'll just leave it at that. This is a very, very good three-person announce team, and they really did add to the enhancement of what was going on the screen, as they always do. The Fatal 4-Way to crown the number one contender for Shayna Baszler's Women's Championship. Io Shirai versus Mia Yim versus Bianca Belair versus Candice LeRae. This match was outstanding. Outstanding. One of those matches that is just not even worth telling you guys anything that happened. If you missed it, find a way to go back and see it. It is worth every minute of your time. These girls killed it. Absolutely killed it. Nothing bad to say about the performance put on by anybody in this ring. I am a really big fan of Bianca Belair. I love the new look and the new attitude of Io Shirai. Mia Yim already had her shot against the champ. She already lost, so I didn't expect her to go forward. I was hoping that it was going to be one of the other two girls I just mentioned, either Io or either Io Shirai or not Mia Yim. Oh my god, I just lost my train of thought. Either Io Shirai or Bianca Belair. But it went to Candice LeRae. Candice LeRae, the scrappy little tough wife of Johnny Wrestling, Johnny Gargano. She is the prime babyface in this scenario. It makes the most sense for her to win, but I don't know if honestly I would have booked her to go over for this moment just yet. We are just really getting things started. You are going to automatically sacrifice Candice LeRae to Shayna Baszler. I don't see anything wrong with Bianca Belair getting a shot at the championship, maybe having Io Shirai finally go one-on-one against Baszler and get another shot at the championship with this new attitude, and it would be something special. It would be something great. Candice LeRae doesn't make it less special. It just kind of makes it feel like they're running Johnny Gargano's gimmick and story with his wife, and I would much rather them do something a little bit different. But we are forgiving because the match was great, and Candice LeRae is great, and she's going to be a great challenger for Shayna Baszler. The babyface heel dynamic's going to be off the chain. Baszler's got her horsewomen by her side. It should be something pretty interesting to keep our attention, and hopefully that's going to be the main driving program on the USA portion of the NXT show, because that will keep everything interesting and making sense. After this matchup, we had a quick video package on NXT champion Adam Cole, which I thought we would see a little bit more of them, maybe an interview or some sort, but we got much more than that later on. We also got a video package for Keith Lee versus Dominik Dijakovic, and their feud will be continuing next week. We're going to have a match there. And they reveal that they are going to have the street fight between Matt Riddle and Killian Dane to headline the second hour, which should have been the headliner of the first hour, and it would have definitely generated more traffic to go find out what the hell is going on the show. Would have made it feel much more interesting and had people's attention a lot more than you did by having the Undisputed Era claim a championship and complete a storyline that nobody outside of the NXT fan base knows is going on. Cameron Grimes versus Sean Maluda, we already talked about really quickly. I swear to God, this guy was coming out to the ring. I got up from the studio here. I went inside. I got a soda. I came back, and the match was over. Absolutely ridiculous. This is not the kind of thing that we're used to seeing on NXT. Cameron Grimes is not a big, gigantic man. There is no reason why he should have went over so quickly. This should have at least had a couple of minutes in there. Let's Sean Maluda get something. I don't know, but this was really, really quick. It was barely like 3 seconds, if anything, and it didn't make me feel good. We had another vignette for Damian Priest, getting everybody familiar with him. Punishment Martinez is looking fucking great on the NXT roster, and I can't wait to see him debut in the ring on USA. I've already seen him many times on NXT on the WWE Network, and I hope that the 2 hour thing has got to be all on USA by the time they go to October 2nd, right? We're not going to keep splitting it up. Because if they keep having the crash down every Wednesday, that's going to make things really, really annoying. We finished off the first hour with the NXT North American title match, Roderick Strong versus the Velveteen Dream. Fantastic matchup, but I hated the finish. I hated that the Undisputed Era got involved and they did not get caught. I hated that the title changed hands. I don't have anything so much against Roderick Strong per se. I just don't think this was the time to do it. I think this was a terrible way to showcase the Velveteen Dream in his feature bout on a network show, and I'm sure they have some sort of a plan and that they're going to go somewhere with it, and some of you guys are probably getting annoyed with me ragging on this stuff, but I tell you guys the way I see it, and that's what I feel. The Velveteen Dream is the star. The Undisputed Era, if you're balancing them out, who's greater? I think it's the Dream. And I think this was not the way to go about it. But Roderick Strong is your new NXT North American champion. After the match, the Undisputed Era celebrates at ringside. They have all the gold in NXT. And I don't know if that many people really care. And that was it for the first hour. The second hour opens up live on the WWE Network as the Undisputed Era continued their celebration. Then we heard from Mauro Ranallo that Candice LeRae is going to get her title shot against Shayna Baszler on the October 2nd edition of NXT, probably on USA. We then went to Pete Dunne versus Arturo Ruas. And this guy's I've seen him in the ring before. I don't understand him. They even gave this guy a t-shirt. You know, Luke Harper don't have a t-shirt. Luke Harper's been on the main roster. He's never had one t-shirt outside of the Wyatt family. Bobby Roode's t-shirts are garbage. Dolph Ziggler, everybody's t-shirts are garbage. And they have the whole entire NXT roster now has t-shirts. Every single one of them. And they're all pretty much trash. They look awful. I don't know what's up with the WWE graphic department, but that's another story for another day. Another thing I want to just say about Pete Dunne, as much as I enjoy his work in the ring, I hate the finger manipulation thing. I just hate it. And I don't know why. It doesn't feel imposing to me. It doesn't feel threatening. I know it would hurt if somebody's sitting there pulling on my fingers and shit, but I just wasn't really ever a fan. It's one of the things that put me off from Zack Sabre Jr. All these weird things with the fingers and stomping on the fingers when you could very easily just go like this, and you know it's not that hard to get your hand away from another person's hand, and it just doesn't lean into good wrestling. It kind of, to me, breaks the illusion. But I'm not going to go too hard on that either. But him winning this match against Arturo Ruas with the finger manipulation and having this guy give up and tap out to Pete Dunne just plucking and pulling away at his fingers doesn't say much for Arturo, but it's underwhelming. I would much rather have seen him finish off with his bitter end finishing maneuver. I like impactful finishes, and I understand a submission hold, but that, I don't like any of that. Pete Dunne with the win, as you could probably imagine. Still to come on this night would be Lio Rush versus Oney Lorcan to crown a new number one contender for the Cruiserweight Championship, which the Cruiserweight division apparently is going to... I'm not sure if it's going to float between divisions or if it's going to permanently reside on NXT, but this is definitely the way to go. We come back from the break and there's a promo for returning Dakota Kai. She's going to be coming to the women's division. And then we get a skid mark right in the middle of NXT Live. Xia Li, the first ever Chinese woman to grace a WWE ring versus Aaliyah. And I'm a very big fan of Xia Li. I thought she was fantastic in the Mae Young Classic. I like her look. I think she's very different. But there was something very, very wrong with this match. I don't know if it's just these girls didn't click or they were maybe a little bit too nervous, but this was a very sloppy, very spotty, very quick match that just did not look good. And this match is a match that I definitely am glad was not on the first hour for the USA Network. WWE Network NXT fans will be forgiving of things like this. It's not going to affect the show altogether. But if a match like this aired during the first hour, everybody would have just felt like they were watching the women's division on Monday Night Raw. Denzel Desjardins versus Kushida. Very, very good little interaction, but it wasn't about this at all. Denzel Desjardins, however you say it, Marcel Barthel, Fabian Eichner, and Alexander Wolf of the Imperium all come out and surround the ring. They hit the ring and triple team Mr. Denzel Desjardins. Fans chant for the champion Walter because they know that Walter is in the house when the Imperium is around, and Walter would oblige. Walter came out to a very, very big pop, and this match would never really get started. He came to the ring and took the mic and started talking to the fans when suddenly Kushida would take the mic and say that this is his time now. Fans started to get behind him. Kushida says that Walter's time now belongs to him. Wolf attacks and then gets dropped. Kushida fights off Eichner and Barthel, but Walter grabs him and manhandles him into the ring from the apron. Fans chant for Walter, but Kushida gets free and delivers a kick. Kushida retreats from the ring as Walter and the Imperium stare him down. Everybody was into this. Everybody is into Walter and the Imperium. I'm not so over on the group. I love Walter. I think he's fucking great. He's absolutely fantastic. But the rest of the group, much like I said with the Undisputed, they're just a little bit underwhelming. Alexander Wolf, I'm familiar with from Sanity. Now he's just being placed in this group. We'll see where it goes. I don't watch NXT as much, NXT UK rather, as much as I would really like to, so I'm not as familiar with as much of the stuff that they do. I really only watch when I know Walter is having a big match, and remains to be seen what these guys are going to be doing on the NXT main brand in the States. Obviously, they're going to be taking on Kushida. Let me just throw this out there for you guys. Also, and please don't crucify me on this, I just have to see a lot more, I guess, but I'm Asianed out, you guys. I'm Asianed out. I don't care if you are from Taiwan, Taiping, Japan, China, Southeast Asia, anywhere from that region. Everybody that comes over to the WWE is always, the greatest from this area of the world. And he comes out dressed up like Marty McFly from Back to the Future 2. And I don't get him. And I'm just so tired of all these Asian fellows coming over with all this hype. It's just like Kenta. Even Shinsuke Nakamura, the biggest Japanese star the WWE ever had their hands on. Look what they did to him. Why am I to be excited about a Kushida? I don't care how good he is in the ring at this point. It's just the same old song and dance. Every time they bring a new Japanese female, every time they bring in a new Japanese guy, they got Akira Tozawa. He's still around there doing nothing. And I got to give a shit about Kushida. I don't know him from his previous work. I'm not a big mark for New Japan. I only watch what's important, and when I don't know who they are, I don't pay attention, because sometimes they're just not worth my time, and this is one of those situations. However, him being opposite Walter in the future is going to force me to have to see him, so maybe he'll grow on me. But that's just my honest opinion. I'm Asianed out, and that's not fucking racist, so don't bust my balls. Everybody who watches wrestling, you understand what I mean. The number one contenders match for the Cruiserweight title, Oney Lorcan versus Lio Rush. This was my favorite match of this whole entire night. This match was amazing. Oney Lorcan is definitely underused. It's a shame he's got such a shitty name, because I think if they gave him a better name, he would get a better push, and he would be definitely upper mid-card material. Lio Rush came back with a vengeance, man. This guy was brought to the main roster. He was put next to the old milk dud, Bobby Lashley, and he was ruined. He was turned into a lapdog, a little yippity-yip, let me get on your nerves and talk your ears off until you hate my guts guy. He hated his position. He was vocal about it. He got shit on. He got punished. He talked shit when Emma was fired. He got in trouble for that. He paid his dues. He earned his way back onto the roster. And he earned himself a WWE Cruiserweight Championship matchup in the future against Drew Gulak by defeating Oney Lorcan in one of the best damn matches I have seen in NXT in the whole entire year. One of the best matches that you could ever imagine. This was a match with very high stakes, a contendership on the line, and these guys went out there and performed as if that was the case. Like something mattered. They were killing each other out there. The chops were stiff. The moves were amazing. And Lio Rush definitely should have earned a little bit of your respect if you lost any for him. This guy's on his way back, and this was a great way to show his worth. Lio Rush was fantastic. Oney Lorcan was fantastic. And this match was my favorite match of the whole night. Great, great, great showing for both of these men. Lio Rush will be facing Drew Gulak for the WWE Cruiserweight Championship in the near future. The Street Fight versus Matt Riddle and Killian Dane is going to bring this review and this episode of NXT to an end. These guys just went at it. This was a straight out brawl. Anybody who watches the show and has seen any of my previous NXT stuff, you know I'm not the biggest Matt Riddle guy. But I'm not going to deny the man's star power. He's probably the most well-known person on the NXT roster amongst casuals and wrestling fans alike. He gets a huge pop. Everybody wants to see him. He wrestles with no shoes on, which annoys the shit out of me. But this man should have been on the first hour of the first episode. This match should have been on the first hour of the first episode of NXT. And you're saving it. Don't save. Don't save. Get people hyped now, so that they don't even give a shit what else is on. Don't worry about what they're doing. Just do you. Like I said, this match was just a huge brawl. The fans were breaking out in all kinds of chants, holy shits, this is awesomes everywhere. It would break down to a point where everybody in the back comes out. Bodies are just flying everywhere. The Street Profits are out there. Everybody on the roster is out there just trying to maintain some sense of control, trying to stop this brawl from going on. Next thing you know, you got people in feuds just fighting each other because everybody's brawling, and NXT goes off the air in the midst of all this madness as the brawl continues on ringside, all thanks to the intensity brought between Matt Riddle and Killian Dane, which is something that should have been featured during the first hour. There's no reason why they had to do what they did to the Velveteen Dream on national television. They definitely could have pulled the same exact finish for the NXT show during the second hour, and I probably wouldn't be this upset about it. I'd be upset that the Dream lost because I think he's a better fit for the champion, but I would understand that they were bringing this storyline to a close for the NXT audience who has been following along all this time. But to do it in the first hour and not highlight the bigger stars that are actually going to be on this actual show anyway just doesn't really make too much sense to me. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is what I thought about NXT on USA. Was it the best show ever? The best show of 2019? No. Did we have great matches? Yes. Absolutely great matches. Was it worth watching? Absolutely. My biggest hope is that the first hour is going to be placed on the WWE Network and not have as much commercial interruption. Maybe there's a secondary edit where we just get like those 30-second bumps and promos that we're used to during an episode of NXT on the network. The 2-hour format, how it's going to work in the future, I don't know. Hopefully they got all their ducks in a row as far as the network is concerned, and the little mishap with the logins won't be happening every single Wednesday when everybody tries to tune back in for the second hour. And once we do go the 2 full hours, we're going to have 2 full hours on USA that are going to be bombarded by commercials. So NXT is never truly going to feel the same. NXT last night did not feel the same. Even when we got back on the WWE Network. Just based off of what I seen in the first hour and how dirty I kind of felt for what I just seen happen to the Dream, kind of took me out of the moment. But thankfully, Oni and Leo definitely brought me back to life. And then that street fight at the end was something crazy. And you know they didn't want to go all out in this first episode. I don't mean to use that again. It's no pun intended, and I'm not taking shots at AEW. It's just a turn of phrase that people use. Get over it. They didn't want to blow off the Killian Dane and Matt Riddle thing and have that not happen on USA. But I don't know why they didn't start it on USA. But we are going to go to, that'll probably be on the October 2nd episode, I would imagine. We'll have to wait and see. I want to know what you guys thought. I know you guys are probably thinking that I'm nuts right now. But this review, obviously if you're still here, you're a fan. You're a fan and you love what I do here and you respect my opinion. And this review is for you guys. This review is for my fans. This isn't for fans of NXT. This isn't for the fucking AEW dick riders that are just living on the edge right now and just are waiting for every reason to attack everybody for everything. And it's going to make it very interesting for me to review these shows on a weekly basis. This is for you guys, man. Because you guys know where I'm coming from. I look at these things through a different set of glasses than everybody else. And I want to make sure you guys see where I'm coming from. This is my first time really coming down on NXT, so I might have rambled on a little bit. I might not have been as clear, but I hope you guys understand where I'm coming from. I'm not shitting on the show. It was a good show, but I just don't think that they did the right things and they didn't position things correctly, and we didn't need squash matches and Pete Dunne versus nobodies and things like that. We needed to front load this show, and Triple H wanted to tell everybody, here, we're going to show you. And you showed us just an average episode of NXT, really, which is always good, but you need it to be a little bit better than good. You need it to be great, and I don't think this show is as great as everybody else who's sitting there just NXT. If they did this shit to the Velveteen Dream on the main roster, everybody would be pissed off. But because NXT did it, it's okay. Oh no, NXT, Triple H can do. Don't walk. It was great, man. Stop that shit right now. Thank you guys so much for joining me for this NXT live review. I hope you guys enjoyed it. And like I said, this one's for you guys. I really didn't even want to do it. I put it on Twitter. If you're not following me on Twitter, I don't know why you're not. You better go follow me right now. If you don't have an account on Tweet Machine, make one just to go and follow your boy Nick Nightmare. And if you're not following me there, you can follow me on the Instagram at this handle right over here. But I said on Instagram, last night and also on Twitter that I don't even want to do this because I feel like all the NXT guys are going to come down on me because everybody's ready for war. Everybody's ready for literal war. And this war is going to suck. This war is going to suck. And not because of the wrestling, but because of the fucking fans. And I just might do a separate video where we talk about all of that. If you'd be interested in that, let me know in the comment section down below. My name is Nick Nightmare. This is the Team Thor, the Sledgehammer, the official Sledgehammer of the Sledgehammer Wrestling Show. His tag team partner, the World Heavyweight Champion of all the microphones in all the world, Mr. Blue, the Snowball. The most important member of the team, as always, is each and every one of you Sledgehead fuckers, and I love each and every one of you. If you are not already a member of the Sledgehammer TV family, hit that subscribe button right now and become one of the 1,900 plus that know when you want your wrestling news bullshit free and full of fun and honest opinions, that Sledgehammer TV is the place to be. We are so close to that 2,000 subscriber mark. We want to get over it before the release of 2K20. So if you're not subscribed, hit that subscribe button right now. Help us achieve that goal and help us get over 2,000 so that we could go to infinity and beyond and keep this channel growing bigger and bigger every day as we continue to try to take over the world, because that's what we do here. Thank you guys so much. Don't forget to check out everything else on the channel. The Raw and SmackDown follow-up shows to the Clash of Champions were both pretty bad, but their hammer came down on them, and you can watch that review right now. I'll leave them in the annotations up above, as well as everything wrong with Clash of Champions 2019 and everything wrong with the first ever WWE Clash of Champions in about 12 minutes, which is my favorite video on this channel right now. And if you haven't seen it by now, go check it out. Leave a like on that as well and share that video. Share this video with each and every one of your wrestling buddies all over the wrestling world, especially if they were super hyped about NXT and you need to rein them back a little bit and tell them, yo, bro, calm down, because we're just getting started. That's going to do it, and we are out of here, and we will see you next time right here on your new favorite wrestling show, the Sledgehammer Wrestling Show, only on Sledgehammer TV, right here on YouTube.com. Please, please, don't kill me.